Hello. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon to those watching our live stream right now. Magandang hapon po. Um, Naimbag nga malam kada kayo amin. And good morning and good evening as well to those who will be watching this video on demand. And sana maayos po ang inyong mga araw kahit na mainit ngayon. Okay, so I've been reading the comments. Meron na tayong viewers. Sabi ni Daniel de Guzman, "Hello, mainit na hapon guys." Andito din si Caddy, si Freddy, um, Renato, ayan, and si WJ Manares, hello sa mga nagko-comment so far. And we're so glad you could join us today. So, wherever you are right now, I'm so excited to welcome you to our webinar this afternoon, Visions of Tomorrow Sci Fi as a Tool for Foresighting the Future Philippines. And by the way, I am Rain from the Pinoy Speculative Fiction Group, and I will be your host for this program. And may tanong lang ako sa inyo. Do you want to know the future? Well, I'm assuming you do, kaya kayo nanonood ngayon ng ating live stream. Well, I think most of us do want to know about the future. But what about the future do you want to know exactly and why? Or more importantly, how do we know the future? Okay, so did you know that there are people called futurists who use a combination of research, statistics, imagination, and intuition to forecast the future? And hindi ko din alam actually about futurists until the topic was brought up in the Pinoy Speculative Fiction group. And what's more interesting is science fiction is actually one of the tools that can be used to make such predictions about the future. So, sinong mga sci-fi writers na nanonood ngayon? Roll call nga tayo. Mag-comment kayo ng present. Ayan, so we know that there are sci-fi writers here right now and spec-fic writers in general. Ayun. So aside from yung entertainment value ng sci-fi and also like the thought experiments that it provides, it also has real world implications as we'll learn in today's talk. Ayan. So while futurists cannot really tell us like the winning lottery number, but they can advise like companies, organizations, governments about things like global trends, global security, market opportunities, and risk management. So it's very helpful and it's very important what futurists do. And we are so fortunate to have a professional futurist with us this afternoon who will guide us through our topic for this webinar. And it gives me great pleasure to introduce first our speaker, who is none other than Professor Sherman Ortega Cruz. So we'll call him later, but let me just give you a bit of his background first. Okay, so Sir Sherman is an award winning futurist. He is the CEO and Chief Futurist of the Center for Engaged Foresight, a strategic foresight and futures innovation company with global operations based in Manila. He has authored more than 30 foresight case studies and articles and has prepared more than 100 futures reports and toolkits for clients. Sir Sherman also holds the distinction of being the first ever UNESCO chair on anticipatory governance and regenerative cities in the Philippines at Northwestern University. And in the academic domain naman, Sir Sherman currently serves as adjunct faculty and director of the Futures Thinking program at the Asian Institute of Management, or AIM. And his extensive teaching experience includes roles at the University of the Philippines National College of Public Administration and Governance, the Lee Kuan Yew School of Public Policy at the National University of Singapore, and many other institutions. So let's all give a warm welcome to Professor Sherman Cruz.
Thank you very much for that kind introduction, Rain. Naimbag Malemet Kenyam.
Oh, ayan. Oo nga,
Yes.
nag-Ilocano din pala si Sir Sherwin.
Yeah. So,
Oh,
first things first, thank you very much for setting this up, for the opportunity to, have a conversation with you and share, and reflect and perhaps, try to deconstruct, the connection and probably, the link between future studies, futures thinking, futurism, foresight, whatever you might call it, to science fiction. So, of course, let me begin by saying at the outset that futures studies, if we're gonna like embark, at least in the context as a discipline, and science fiction feeds into each other. They are closely linked, and from the many literature that I've read over the years, when I, as a student of future studies, is that I have seen the dynamic, of the two disciplines, or thought styles when it comes to exploring possibilities. So, but then before I, discuss this further, I would like to perhaps embark by explaining a futures thinking, or future studies, what it is and what it is not. So, and then build on that, and try to approach a science fiction in the context of futures thinking, and how futures thinking, as a methodology or a tool, enables science fiction to inform, public policy, strategy, governance, innovation in the process. So, if you may, siguro, Rain, if you can share the deck, I would like to begin with explaining a little bit about what this Arab proverb is. It really captured, my, I would say, not necessarily emotion, perhaps thought, if I may, about the future. The Arab proverb says that he who predicts the future lies even if he tells the truth. I would say over the years probably can encapsulate, the reflection that comes into studying and using the future, studying the nature of what the future is, and understanding, the function of futures in plural, and foresight when you try to apply that in the real world. So this proverb speaks a lot about, the philosophy that informs how human beings make sense of uncertainty and the unpredictability of the future. It also suggests that while we attempt to forecast and predict the future, which we've been doing for thousands of years, right? Regardless of our intention and desire to predict the future, or perhaps, the way we see it, whether or not our predictions are accurate about the future, it might seem also to suggest that the very nature of the future, while we attempt to predict it, is literally, or perhaps I would say metaphorically, unknowable. It is invisible, and it is subject to many variables and conditions of change that renders all predictions inherently unreliable in the process. Diba? We collect data, we try to interpret that data, and extrapolate this ways of knowing and understanding of what the data is for us, and make predictions about the future. But then if you try to think about the future that doesn't exist yet, the only way by which we can actually make sense of it is to speculate possibilities, right? So future studies or future thinking is really the study of speculation or speculating possibilities. And if we allow ourselves, to think about the future in that context, is that the future remains open rather than it being colonized. Because if you try to predict it, there is this assumption that we have already colonized the future, right? But then if we reframe it in the context of unpredictability and uncertainty, the future becomes a source of not just anticipation or imagination, but emancipation, for people who wish to imagine the future. And I think that's where science fiction can come in, right? But then we'll discuss about that later. And when we think about the future as speculative, it also suggests, I would say, in fact, I think you would agree with me when I say that events, whether personal, professional, institutional, societal, economic, political, cultural, can lead to different wild outcomes, right? While we anticipate possibly perhaps one single future informed by our forecasts and predictions, it might not be the future at all, even if the government says that it is, right? But then a futurist thinks that it is not prediction, simply because the assumption that futurists has, that we futurists has, is that events can lead to wild, weird, strange outcomes, right? And that makes predictions inherently unreliable, right? So, and if we acknowledge the view that it can lead to not just different outcomes, but different ridiculous, absurd outcomes, we acknowledge the view and the fact that the conditions of change that enables change to occur is the influence, which is of course the future, is influenced by different variables. It's not just about technology, right? Because otherwise it becomes, technocentric. And I think in the context of science fiction, it should not just be about technology, right? At least from the perspective of science. Like, for example, from the point of view of indigenous communities or indigenous ways of knowing, like that they have a different view of truth. And now that I have told you something about truth, of course, if you try to put truth in the context of the future, is that the future will always be, at least in the context of truth, will always be context dependent, right? And subjective, right? And I think that is how futurists think about the future, that the future is context dependent and pretty subjective. And if you think about truth and the future as context dependent and subjective, it would suggest that when we predict the future, we view the future or understanding of truth as limited. Imagine, right? Like that if we base everything on data. Imagine if we base everything on just by using the news headlines, the reality that exists now. And if we are limited to our understanding of the current reality, that might create a lot of blind spots as far as our ways of knowing the future is concerned. And with those limitations, also leads you about a conversation regarding ethics, right? Alam naman natin ang prediction, maraming bias dyan eh. Di ba? Di ba? May mga taong magpre-predict, tungkol sa, paggunaw ng mundo. Di ba? Marami tayong naririnig na ganyan, halos ata every year eh. Di ba? Na may nagpre-predict na si ganito at si ganyan na magugunaw ang mundo sa araw na ito. Diba? tignan mo naman, alamin mo kung saan ba nanggagaling yung paniniwala ng taong yan na magugunaw na ang mundo. So, and then of course, alam naman natin na yung mga expert, no, na tinatawag natin, yung mga expert nito, maaari itong ekonomista, political scientist or scientist, yan, gustong-gusto nilang mag-predict, no, lalo na sa mga bagay-bagay na short term or yung mga pangmadalian, ano. At kung yung susumain, sino ba naman ang makakapag-predict ng susunod na 100 taon? Di ba? Or 200 taon or 300 taon or 1,000 taon or 1,000,000 taon. Di ba? At karamihan sa science fiction, di ba? Sa mga ganung time horizon yan eh. Di ba? May mga science fiction na ba tayo nakita na kwento patungkol sa susunod na 5 taon, di ba? Hindi, di ba? Domain yan ng mga experts, di ba? Pero pag mga sci-fi writers, if you're gonna read all of this, sci-fi books, it's either that they are million years, light years away from us, from the now, or it could be thousands of years. It's a civilizational discourse, right? It's a different world out there, beyond the objective world, which is, of course, the now. And I would like to go back about the ethical dimensions of it, right? Especially when it comes to prediction. Kaya yung pag ginagamit mong prediction, ang mga bagay-bagay, may mga pinanggagalingan yan eh. Either it's because of power, either that these people are biased, or they just want to, right, like, please other people, right? To amplify, I would say the status quo, the business as usual. So, and, predictions are powerful, in fact. They can influence behavior. They're used to manipulate perception and including decisions. And that is why yung mga futurists, they've been trying to distance themselves from this idea of prediction, because for them, may ethical context ito eh, may moral weight ito, may pinanggagalingan ito. Hindi ka naman magpre-predict ng walang interest. Pero from the perspective of a futurist is that futurists, particularly, not all futurists practice, but definitely from what I've seen over the years is that futurists tried to some sort of say, they've been saying this for many years now, that futurist thinking is not about prediction, but the anticipation of possibilities. In fact, if you try to use the language of sci-fi writers, right, what they usually do is to create depictions of possibilities. Pero kung journalist ang magre-report, kunwari nangyari, yung sinulat nito, like for example, sabihin natin si Arthur Clarke, or probably si H.G. Wells, pag binalikan nila yung kanilang mga sinulat 100 years ago, at may nag-report na journalist, ang kanyang news headline, makikita mo kung paano nila isusulat yan, prediction. Pero kung susumain mo yun, hindi naman sila nagpre-predict ng mga taong ito eh, mga nagsusulat na to eh. They don't write to predict, they write to make depictions of possibilities. Dito nagkakaroon ng connection ng mga futurists tsaka mga sci-fi writers. And second is that, of course, talking about truth and what is true, is that lahat ng mga realidad na nakikita natin ngayon, these are momentary truths. Temporal itong mga to, short-term itong mga to. Like for example, yung smartphone na ginagamit mo yan, kailan ang expiration date yan? Baka hindi mo na makita yan in 20 to 25 years. Wala ka ng laptop. Iba na, yung mga technology platforms mo. Habang natututo ang tao, lumalawak rin yung kanyang imahinasyon eh. So habang lumalawak yung kanyang imahinasyon, lumalayo din, palayo din ng palayo yung kanyang pananaw tungkol sa kinabukasan. But then, of course, in the context of, let's just say, Filipino foresight, is what's essential is really the culture and values, and the ethics that we put into this, particularly when it comes to, imagining possibilities. Meron nga akong isang, I facilitated a workshop several weeks ago, and the chair of that national government agency would say this, pagpalain natin ang ating kinabukasan. So, ano ibig sabihin nun? Pagpalain natin ang ating kinabukasan. Para siyang isang dasal, no? Or perhaps in the context of, perhaps, just to borrow some indigenous perspectives here, is yung gratitude, towards the future. So pag iniisip natin na gano'n, na pinagpapala natin ang ating kinabukasan, binubuksan mo rin ito, para sa lahat, para buuin ito. So, yun, patungo dun sa ganung usapin is, I think this has also been discussed, by futurists, is, human hubris. Ibig sabihin nun is that, we always have that belief that we can actually control the future, right? At least, probably I would say, my colleagues might say that I'm wrong about this, but this is how I look at it, is yun yung perspektibo ng mga nagko-colonize. Yung gusto nilang makontrol ang mga pangyayari, lalo na ang kinabukasan, di ba? So, kung gusto mong kontrolin, at tingin mo lahat ng sinasabi mo accurate itong mga ito, mukhang iba na ang pinanggagalingan nun. Pero from the perspective of, I would say, let's just say from an un-Western view of foresight and futures thinking, is that we accept, we acknowledge, the value of humility, that, hey, you cannot actually control the future. It's not our purpose, that why we're here in the first place. We're using it as a form of leverage in order for us to perhaps, participate and contribute in the evolution of human development and of human civilization. But then, of course, we also acknowledge the fact that the future remains open. Kasi pag kinokontrol mo ito, sinasarado mo ito. No? Pero if you have that humility and acknowledgement that the future is not about us, really, but for those who do not exist yet, or who does not exist yet, whether these are humans, organisms, plants, animals, and technology or thing. I would like to go beyond that thing part, because that has always been the perspective of, the function of the future is to, create more new things about the future, to actually control it. But then it's really about, the exploration of knowledge, of truth, of a meaning. And I think that is what science fiction is about as well. Now, yun yung konteksto ko, no? Pag yung pagkakaintindi ko sa proverb na ito, no? He who predicts the future lies even if it tells the truth. It's an oxymoron, right? So we have agency, in fact, but then, of course, it's not just about agency. I would say, at least in the context of indigenous perspective, it's also about the divine, the unknown, the ridiculous and the absurd. The future need not have to be logical, really, right? In fact, in the context of science fiction, it doesn't have to be, perhaps rationality, yes, but logic, not necessarily. So now, with that in mind, can you go to the next slide, Rain? So, for futurists looking at the work of science fiction writers, sorry, yan pala, nandyan, it's in the outline, yan yung diniscuss ko kanina, no? Nandyan yun. So can we move to the next slide? So, how do futurists make sense of science fiction? Of course, there are many ways to actually study the future. As you can see in this text, like around 5 or 6, at least this version of Joseph Vorus, who is I believe, a theoretical physicist himself and a futurist, who, try to make sense of different ways by which we can actually study and understand the future. And one of those really which I think really matters when it comes to, futurism or foresight, is probably, of course, it depends on the context, on who you're dealing with, what's your purpose, what your intent. But for futurists per se, I've seen this, heard this from many futurists from all over the world, is that the most valuable practice of foresight is the preposterous future, right? So para sa kanila, ito ang pinakamortanteng aspeto ng foresight or futures thinking, is yung matutukang mag-isip ng mga imposible. Di ba? Yung forecasting, nandun yun, nasa gitna eh. Di ba? Yung projected, yung probable, may data yan eh. Di ba? Kailangan mo yung data dyan. Pero dun sa preposterous part, hindi na nakakaabot ang data dyan. Hindi mo kailangan ng data dyan. Although you still have these contextual realities, of course, we cannot escape this present. No one would, or we're trapped by it. That's why our imagination about the future will always be informed by it. But then, of course, we can rethink, reimagine, and reframe it, building on the realities that we currently have. So when it comes to linking future studies and science fiction, that is the domain of futures wherein you can actually use science fiction to study the future, right? So now I would just like to quickly discuss, let's just say if, the relationship of a sci-fi writer and a futurist. One is that for many, many futurists, they can be sci-fi writers as well. But for those futurists who aren't sci-fi writers, is that, futurists get inspired by the work of sci-fi writers, right? Because it gives them some sort of a lens, to imagine possibilities, right? Like, for example, I read the work of, let's just say, Arthur Clarke, or H.G. Wells, or Isaac Asimov about the future of space and artificial intelligence. These are techno-centric types of science, right? Particularly interested about the future of technological development. For most futurists, per se, is that they read science fiction in order for them to have an input, some sort of a data to enable them, this futurist, to imagine the future more vividly as much as possible. Because what the sci-fi writers do is that they create detailed scenarios about the future. What sci-fi writers provide are the details, right? Like, for example, yung Minority Report. Have you watched that movie, Minority Report? It's a collaboration between, of course, artists, designers, futurists, and sci-fi writers. I think it's a group. When one futurist told me about it when they were working on the Minority Report. Sinabi niya, that was, I think, in the 1990s or early 2000. I couldn't remember, but they tried to imagine what the 2040 would look like, and they tried to put as much as detailed as possible as far as that world is concerned, right? So apparently it was all glasses, all glasses, and they got it right. But just imagining what would it look like if you have this type of technology, right? And they would say now, claim that 90% of how they imagine what the 2040 could look like is actually happening now in 2023, and that could even become more vivid and apparent in the year 2040 because everyone are using, glasses now as a platform for technology innovation. So science fiction book serves as a soundbox for futurists. So, ginagamit nila yan talaga. No? Kaya kung magaling ka magsulat or mahilig kang magbasa ng science fiction, pwede kang maging futurist. In fact, yung mga magagaling na futurist talagang, nagbabasa yan ng mga science fiction. So other than that, when it comes to innovation, of course, the only way for you, possibly, probably, for you to actually like, put your head in that space when it comes to the future of innovation, particularly on future technological developments like space travel and satellites and touchscreens and voice-activated assistants, for example, is magbasa ka ng science fiction. Imagine mo, yung isang scientist na hindi nagbabasa ng science fiction, saka yung isang scientist na nagbabasa ng science fiction. Sinong mas magaling, ito, haka-hako ko lang to, pwede mong itest to eh. Di ba? Sinong mas magaling mag-innovate sa kanila? Pagdating dyan, who can actually bring these new technologies to life? Much faster and at scale. Kita mo naman yan sa design ng mga damit eh. Di ba? Sa design ng mga damit na lang, di ba? Sino ba ang bumibenta pagdating sa mga damit? So probably that can pwede ring i-apply yan pagdating sa futures. And then again, of course, kung babasahin mo yung science fiction, hindi lang naman yung technology ang tinitignan nito eh. It's not just about technology really, it's about the societal concerns of that future. Right? It's a civilizational issue. I've been watching at least many episodes of this TV series on Apple TV called Foundation. I haven't read that book before, but when I watched that movie, started to read the book, that was written by Isaac Asimov about the future of human civilization. Imagine Isaac Asimov. Creating a story wherein you have the last artificial intelligence AI entity existing, if in that era, isa na lang yung AI natitira kasi pinatay lahat eh. Kasi ang sumunod na era was genetic dynasties, synthetic biology. Nawalan ng kwenta yung mga AI, but because pumasok na yung tinatawag na era of genetic civilization as yun na yung naging resource ng mga taong yun. So they are pushing the boundaries of what we can imagine. In fact, itong mga sci-fi writers na ito. Ngayon, how does sci-fi writers benefit from future studies? This is how futurists benefit from the work of science fiction writers. Balik natin ngayon ito sa mga sci-fi writers. What futurists do is, they figure out ways by which you can apply these preposterous ideas in real-world applications. Diyan magaling ang mga futurists. They think of a preposterous idea, like a myriad of absurd, ridiculous, unknowable, invisible, impossible ideas about the future. What the futurists do is that they're going to figure out ways by which you can actually apply these preposterous ideas today. That's why there is this game that was introduced. I'm forgetting names right now. She's the author of the book Imaginable, right? And then she has this approach which she called, challenge the futurist. Challenge the futurist. Think of any preposterous, ridiculous, unimaginable idea that you have. You challenge the futurist, and the futurist will figure out ways by which they can enable this as a policy discourse, right? That can change or market discourse that can change the now. And that is why, in the context of UNESCO, when you talk about futures thinking, they've invented this idea or terminology called futures literacy. So, what does that mean if a person is futures literate? It simply means that you have the capability to use the future as an asset. Or let's just say you have the capability to use preposterous future as an asset, resource, and tool to innovate and change today. That's what futurists do. So imagine mo, yung kung paano mag-meet ito. Kaya ngayon, ang daming mga futurists na hina-hire sa mga technology company ngayon kasi doon sila magaling. mga enablers itong mga to eh. Like, sila yung magtatawid, no, ng uh, mga ridiculous ideas mo, no, na iniisip mo pa millions of years from now or 1,000 years from now para maging valuable ito sa mga iba't ibang klase ng realidad na meron tayo ngayon. Kaya meron tinatawag na scenario planning, sci-fi prototyping, design thinking, ginagamit rin naman ng mga futurists yan, yung causal layered analysis, lahat. So it's some sort of the process looks like from imagining to meaning making to institutionalizing the future in the now. Right? Like making it mainstream. Diyan magaling yung mga futurists. Kaya yung mga libro ng mga futurists, pumapatok yan. Like for example, si Alvin Toffler, yung tinatawag natin future shock. No, galing nun. Galing niya. No, isa sa doon sa mga futurists, tinatawag namin mga Generation 1 futurists in the contemporary period, from the 1980s to 2000, na talagang he was able to like some sort of bridge the language of science fiction, of utopian technological developments and frontier technologies. Ngayon, nangyayari na lahat, karamihan sa mga nangyayari yan. Sa mga katang-isip na yan no? So ganun yung kanilang ginagawa. And what futurists do is that they're pretty good at influencing policy and strategy. So imagine mo if the sci-fi writer and the futurist and let's just say the policymaker collaborates. You know what? Imagine the impact they could make. Bring in the sociologists as well. Whoever you want to bring in into the process. It could be an artist, a musician, a dancer, what have you, right? It can be a transdisciplinary approach. So in this graph, diagram, you could see that the intersection of the futurist work and the sci-fi writer is their shared focus on the preposterous future. So yun yung intersection nila. No, yung preposterous and of course the future possibilities. And if they collaborate and try to figure out ways by which they can apply it in the real world, may feedback loop yan. Mag-evolve yan. You can create a different wave of foresight in the process. Particularly a novelty among other things. But then I think really, the impact that we would like to see as far as both futures thinking and science fiction is, iniisip ko dati, paano ba nagiging legendary ang mga bagay-bagay? Yun yung tanong ko dati. Like, legendary people, legendary artwork, legendary product like Apple, legendary services, legendary systems. The legendary part, like they become some sort of memories, both of the future and the past. Like for example, sabihin natin, if it's a person, si Jose Rizal, legendary impact, right? Like the destiny of a man is the destiny of a nation, right? Like for example, in that context. And suddenly I realized that what makes things legendary is the cultural impact. Kung umaabot na sa aspeto ng kultura mga bagay-bagay, it becomes legendary. Now, in the case of science fiction, or probably in future studies and futures thinking, so if the impact of these two schools of thought or way of knowing and creating impact about how we envision the future is that when it reaches the part wherein it begins to impact culture, it begins to impact society at large, right? So, parang ganun. Pag umabot doon sa aspeto ng kultura, talagang matagal na yan. It becomes perpetual. It becomes a part of culture. So I hope, I was able to share that, this is where science fiction and futurism intersects, at the level, at the domain of preposterous future, the impossible future. So that's one. So can we proceed to the next slide, Rain? Yeah. So I think that's it. I just discussed it. I'm sorry. So now you're seeing some of the things that I just emphasized, and just to show you, some folks that we consider as both futurists and science fiction writers. These people are considered as futurists. In fact, some of them were, in many versions, are considered, either they are the father of futurism or foresight in their particular era. But then I also perhaps assume that, is it the Americans that actually invented science fiction? And I don't know. Perhaps we might want to ask that question, explore that, right? But of course, there are other non-American sci-fi writers. It could be Russians, Chinese, Japanese, Koreans, Filipino. I would like to know and meet anyone who are sci-fi writers. What would the Filipinos science fiction writings or stories look like, right? Sa manggagaling yan, anong panggagalingan yan. So, of course, you have Arthur Clarke here, pretty quite famous, and then H.G. Wells, and Isaac Asimov, and then, of course, the author of, sino ba yan? Yung nasa Netflix ngayon, Three Body Problem, that Chinese sci-fi writer. And then, of course, Robinson as well. Next slide. So when you study futures thinking, I've seen several curriculum about this as well, like mass reading for futurists itong mga to. So if you're studying future studies, regardless if it's sci-fi or not, whatever that might be, these are recommended readings for students of futures thinking, right? Again, the world brain. You have Google, right? And then, of course, by Kim Robinson, the Ministry of the Future. The Green Mars, upcoming books, that I also recommend that you try reading. Yep. So next slide, Rain. Yeah. Again, just to define what futures thinking for you, for us, for me, this is what futures thinking is all about, right? It's meta. It's really like at the meta level, like it's a meaning-making process and journey. To enable us to rethink and reframe and reimagine the future today. Yeah. Kasi meron kaming tinatawag na default future, no? Or yung used future, yung future na gamit na. Ibig sabihin, unconsciously or perhaps consciously, depende kung anong intention mo or bias mo, or probably wala kang pakialam. Minsan ang mga tao, when they imagine the future as this or perhaps as such, informed and driven probably by trends. So if they are informed by trends, Swahili Netula would call that as the used future, yung future na gamit na. At minsan nagdi-diminish yung value ng imagination o mga bagay-bagay na iisip natin or ini-imagine natin kung marami na itong kapareho. O paulit-ulit na lang. Pag ginugel mo yan, ang hit niyan, 1 billion na eh. Tingin mo yung imagination mo na yan. May silbi pa ba yan pag 1 billion na ang nagsasabing ganyan din ang iniisip nila sa kinabukasan. Ang tawag doon is gas-gas na yon, di ba? Gas-gas na future na yon. So, default yon, informed and driven by trend. Alam naman natin ang trend, pabulusok ang value niyan eh. No, yeah. So, and then, of course, meron din mga future na tinatawag nating radical, which is, of course, yung radical future. It means na ito yung mga future that doesn't exist yet. They don't exist yet because they are not here yet. No, it could be in the context of society, politics, governance. Yung mga ganun. Most of the visions that we have in organizations, probably these are your incremental futures or default features. Ini-envision lang nila yung ginagawa nila lang ngayon at lumalaki siya in terms of productivity, efficiency, so forth and so on. Pero pag naabot mo yun, wala naman talagang pagbabago nangyayari. So, but then you also have this idea what we call radical futures. Ito talaga yung pagbabago, no, na nangyayari na hindi mo na maalala yung 2023 kasi sa 2050 kakaiba na siya. Hindi mo na talaga maalala itong mga to. Magugulat ka na lang na iba na ang buhay nila in a span of 30 years. We've seen that in China, we've seen that in Korea and in Japan. So, and then meron din naman yung mga future. Like for example, ito ang tingin mo sa future, no? Default siya. No? Paulit-ulit lang siya. Oh. Hindi ka na makalabas doon, na-trap ka na. Nutriban na lang palagi ang ating solusyon. Diba? So, hindi na tayo... Alam mo, ang napansin ko dyan, minsan, pag hindi malayo yung imahinasyon mo at hindi na siya bago, nagre-resort tayo sa nostalgia. In fact, this is not just a reflection of mine. Many futurists share this view as well. In fact, they have realized it as well in the process of their practice that a society or a group of people become nostalgic when their borders of imaginations are just there are a lot of barriers to it. Hindi ka na makalabas doon. Wala nang posible sa iyo. Imposible na lahat. Kung imposible na lahat, wala na, bumabalik na lang tayo, revival, greatest hits na lang lagi. So, ano ibig sabihin nun sa isang sosyedad na pabalik-balik na lang sa nakaraan? So, perhaps that is something that we need to ponder on as well. So, yeah, next slide, Rain. Now, I'm not going to discuss this really, but of course, those are the applications of foresight. So, like for example, you use science fiction to inform these applications, or processes. The way we work, the way we live, the way we decide. The way we enable our organization to do things that are in the now and innovate today is that science fiction futures. From science fiction futures to some interventions like management or planning or policy, expertise comes in the process because ito na yung mga tinatawag nating hard futures. These things are not soft, they are hard because they are tangible things. Kailangan mo ng outcome, ng output. Ramdam dapat kung ano yung nangyayari dito. So, pwede mong itawid yan, yung science fiction sa mga ganitong application. So, siguro I will stop in a couple of minutes. Then perhaps we'll just have to. Can you move it to the next slide? Yeah, I'm going to discuss this, but this is how the foresight process look like. At least specific to my practice, this is what I do. So you can actually incorporate science fiction in the questioning and discovering phase. Right, like for example, the future of governance. Try to review, like let's just say 50 science fiction novels or books, and try to look into the type of governance systems that they have in those societies. Right? Pag-aralan mo, literature review ka, systematic, 50 to 100 sci-fi books. And try to, by using this data, imagine what the future of governance would look like in the next 50 years or 100 years, let's just say. And then you use the insights that you get from that analysis to question and discover what's possible in the now. And then once you have those questions, you apply the tools and methods of foresight. And then dun sa design part, pwede mong ibalik uli yung science fiction uli. Dun sa design part, because there are tools and methods in futures that wherein we use sci-fi, to prototype technology, systems, policy, mga ganon. So, prototype mo sila, you're creating tangible prototypes. Kasi pag nahahawakan mo na tong mga to, nagiging totoo na yan. No? Kaya nga, palagi ko rin sinasabi ito, also think like an engineer because architects and engineers build prototypes para maintindihan mo yung realidad na yun, para hindi lang siya nasa utak. So imagine a public policy, like for example, the future of zero poverty in the year 2050 in the Philippines, what would that look like? Create a prototype of what kinds of a society would that be? Would that look like? Ano yung kwento ng mga taong nandyan? Sa sosyedad na wala ng kahirapan, di ba? Anong itsura niyan? Hindi pa nangyayari yan ngayon, di ba? Pagkatagal-tagal na nating ina-address yan. Pero nakita naman natin, there is a significant reduction in terms of poverty, palit ng palit ito. Pero anong itsura pag wala ng kahirapan, di ba? Anong ibig sabihin ito? So, pwede mong gamitan ng sci-fi yan in the context of technology, in the context of systems, in the context of a day in the life of one, or in a zero poor world. So, yun yung ibig sabihin. Ngayon, given the fact that I've used the word world, so when you combine science fiction, design, and futures thinking, according to a colleague named Leah Saidi, she said that this is what you call world building. Hindi natin ginagamit ang world building sa public policy and governance, including program and project development. So, pwede mong gamitin ang world building yan. It's a pretty quite popular course in the US right now. I think in the last 5 years, 7 years, if I'm not mistaken. Dami nag-enroll sa subject na yan, yung tinatawag na world building. Ngayon, yung mga bata may access na sa ganyan eh. Di ba? Anong game yun? Nakalimutan ko na. Mga bricks na yan. If you can put that in the chat. So, yun. My 5-year-old, 6-year-old daughter can now experience how to build, alternative worlds. So, again, balik ko lang doon, like when you combine future studies, design, and science fiction, and public policy, it's called world building. So pwede natin pag-aralan iyon later on. But then of course, hindi enough ang framework. Of course, yung framework, tinutulungan ka lang niya para magkaroon ka ng proseso para maintindihan yung proseso nito at ano yung pwedeng maging outcome and impact nito sa mga taong gumagamit nito. Importante sa paggagawa nito is kailangan you have to build your competency to actually do it. Right? So competency by doing it, learning how to do it. That is how skills are crafted, are made when we start doing it. And by doing it, we gain experience. And by experiencing it, we generate insights. When we generate insights, we become wiser at what we do. So you need to build these different competencies, which is in the next slide. Rain. Next slide. Can you go to the next slide? Wala. Mukhang hindi ko nadagdag doon. But I'll be sharing to you this deck. There are 6 competencies in foresight, right? And under these competencies, there are several tools and methods that can help you build those competencies, right? From questioning to discovery, designing and adopting, futuring and transforming, and weaving insights. I think even in science fiction, really the value of science fiction is insights. Yung mga yung mga ganong emosyon, at realizations. So the insight is very critical and crucial as far as the value of science fiction is concerned. Of course, we read for entertainment's sake, but some people read sci-fi in different ways, right? So it depends on your intention of reading science fiction and learning and doing foresight. So yan, yung mga competencies na yan, kailangan mo, hindi mo naman kailangan alamin lahat yung mga competencies na yan. Kung magaling ka sa isa or dalawa, ayos na yan, di ba? Pero kung marunong ka, integrate mo yung mga yan, gusto mo matutunan sa pamamagitan ng practice, I think okay din yan. I think it's also important. And then I would like to stop with on this, and then so that we can have entertain some questions and comments in the chat. Can you go to the next slide? Pakita ko lang yung mga tanong. Let's just say this is your question, and try to build a sci-fi story about this. Like, what if nature was central to robotics? What kind of world will you be able to create? Let's just say 100 years from now. What if nature was central to robotics? It's a different framing of how we see robotics in the process. It's a totally different one. If you embed nature in robotic development, ano yan? Di ba? Like, unknown ito. Hindi pa natin alam ito, kaya natin pinag-aaralan yan ngayon. Next question, next slide, Rain. What if foresight was a form of digital diplomacy? No, what if science fiction is a form of diplomacy? Future diplomacy. You know, and we haven't really like deconstructed this yet and explored this question yet. Next slide. What if culture or indigeneity was integral to digital development? No, imagine mo, anong platform ang pwede mo i-create dyan? Baka pwede bang magkaroon ng ritual yung isang platform bago mo gamitin? I don't know. Like, what would that look like, right? Next slide. Just questions, and questions. Meron pa ba? Yeah. What if, the previous question. What if digital technologies enable nature to grow and regenerate faster? Like the impact of technology is a climate positive world, a nature positive world. Mapabilis niya mga bagay-bagay. I think kaya naman natin eh. Nakita naman natin yan through chemistry, di ba? Pinipilit nga nating tumubo yung mga halaman eh. At nagka-loko-loko-loko after several years. What if we're able to develop digital technologies, enable nature to grow and regenerate faster? What kind of society will we be able to build? If that is the kind of orientation that we have when we think about the future of digital technologies. Para hindi lang, here's the thing. What I see now, the default narrative, and this in most science fiction books doesn't suggest this. In fact, they're suggesting that we need to get out of this kind of paradigm, which is the view that science must only be used for the purpose of efficiency, control, and manipulation and domination. To manipulate and dominate the unknown. The unknown. Parang naging ganun lang limitation ng science, right? Yeah. To create models of realities of what nature is all about in order for us to have the mechanism and the means to control it and dominate it and exploit and extract it. Pinapakita ng science fiction sa atin kung anong klaseng mundo meron ka pag ganun ang paradigm mo when it comes to the future. But tinuturo ng mga science fiction writers, ito, pinapakita para magkaroon tayo ng idea kung anong ethical at moral sa mga bagay-bagay na ito. I think yun yung ino-offer ng science fiction writers, some other things. So I'm gonna stop there, Rain. So, yep.
Okay, thank you, Sir Sherman, for giving us a lot to chew on. And I wish you could see yung ating comment section doon sa ating group. Sumasabog ng comments. So people really have a lot to say about this topic and a lot of questions as well. Ayan. So I'm just going to call on one of our other moderators here in the group. So maybe Sir Sherman, before we go to the questions that you were able to get from the comments, we'll first have a bit of a break. So maybe we'll bring on first one of the moderators of the group, si Michelan Alagao. So let's bring her on, and she has just a few words to say. May mga announcement, kumbaga. Okay, so while we take a break and compile all the questions and comments, and then we'll be back with Sir Sherman. Yeah.
Hello, everyone. So thank you to everyone for coming to this webinar this afternoon. We're very happy that you're here and that the comment section, as Rain said, is quite engaged and engaging. So there are a lot of things to think about and chew on. And I'm just here to share, again, the Pinoy Speculative Fiction Group on Facebook. If you're not a member yet, please join Free naman po ito. And we can have more discussions like this within the group itself. So please join the group. Another announcement I'd like to make is on April 25 to 28, there will be the Philippine Book Fest, and that's going to be at the World Trade Center in Manila. And I do encourage everyone to go because one thing that makes this quite special is that the focus is on local Filipino writers and creators as well as illustrators. Yun po talaga yung kanyang focus, kaya Philippine Book Festival. And actually, a number of our members and moderators will be having some book signings and book launches. And medyo marami po kayo, so I won't say your names one by one anymore. But you all know who you are. If you're currently watching now, feel free to promote as well if you're gonna have a book signing or a book launch sa comment section. Hello sa inyo. And hopefully, we can see some of our group members there. So kung pupunta po kayo, I'll be going on one of the days. So I think I'll be going on a Friday or Saturday. If you see me and you're part of the Pinoy Spec Fic group, please don't feel shy to say hello, and I will say hello back. So that's it. Those are the announcements, I think, that I have, all of it. Thank you so much, Rain. And thank you very much, Professor Sherman.
Ayun. So, thank you for the announcement. So, sana magkita-kita kayo nga sa Philippine Book Festival. I can't be there, but I'll be there in spirit. Okay. So, let's see. Madami tayong mga tanong dito. Some of them. Okay. Sorry, hindi ko makita lahat at the moment, but we'll just jump from one question to another. Okay. Let me bring back Sir Sherman. Okay. You can also see pala Sir Sherman in our private chat. So, nandun, nakalagay din doon yung ibang comments and questions. Wait, magpapatulong nga ako kay Mitch para makita yung ibang tanong. Medyo bulag ako, sorry. Okay.
Yes, I can. I can share some of the questions. Siguro questions muna, no, bago comments. Kasi marami-rami ang comments. But one question that was asked, and I am also curious about, was from Victor Fernando R. Ocampo. Curious what kind of science fiction or speculative fiction Professor Cruz likes to read. Yes, so what are some of your favorite works of science fiction?
Ako, talagang sinusubaybayan ko, pero minsan hindi mo naman malalaman kung hindi mo panuorin yan. Like, alternate history. You know, gustong-gusto ko yun. One, really like, in fact, hindi ko makalimutan to. Like, siguro humubog na rin siguro sa pananaw ko ito, is yung Cloud Atlas. Have you watched that? Cloud Atlas? Alternate history, ano? So very nice, very nice. In fact, I always remember this quote from that movie. Sabi niya, I believe there is another world waiting for us, a better world. I'll be waiting for you there. You know, like, very nice. It's a very nice. Yep. Cyberpunk, yes. Okay din. Yeah, pero I'm the kind of person who's into alternate histories.
That's quite interesting. We also have a lot of fans of Philippine alternate history in the group.
Wow.
There was quite engaged post.
Ganda siguro nun, ano? Kung may mga pelikula tayong ganun or mga nobela na alternate history.
Yes.
Sana yan.
Another question po. You mentioned a while ago about the language of possibilities and the importance of culture and ethics in imagining the future. So given that, what specific elements would you like to see in Filipino science fiction? You know, very like Filipino elements related to culture and ethics. Siguro.
Yep. Yeah, that's a good question. Because recently, been doing research and writing a lot of literature, and this is, pre-colonial Filipino societies. In fact, the word of referring to Filipino to the pre-colonial, I think, is a misnomer, right? Because one, they've never been Filipino. Of course, pre-colonial, I think, is we just don't put label into it. Perhaps our pre-colonial history. So particularly, the indigenous communities, right? So I've been studying them for several months now, and what I learned is that in pluralism of reality that indigenous communities have is just pretty quite unbelievable, right? Like, for example, the idea of relationality as reality, diba? Like today, the way we perceive reality has to be based on data, right? Everything is informed by science, but that is, I would say, the colonial view. I'm not saying that science is wrong or that we should not study and invest on science. I think that's very important. But then I think we are trapped by the understanding of science from a Western-centric point of view, which is to dominate, extract, colonize, manipulate, exploit, and kill nature, di ba? So parang ganun eh. Kaya may climate change ngayon eh, because of that practice and traditions for hundreds and for what, in the last 500 years? Or probably longer, even longer than that. Kaya nga naghanap ng mga resources yan kasi naubusan sila sa Europe eh. Bukod, other than the fact that konti lang naman talaga ang resources nila doon. Kaya naghanap yan, iba't ibang lugar to colonize. At yung creation myth nila, is medyo, ang tingin nila sa tao is masama. Talagang brutish, nasty, animal. Ganun ang tingin nila sa tao. Sila, at least from a European perspective. Masama ang tao. Makasalanan. Ganyan, So, imagine mo kung anong perspective mo. So, ibig sabihin nun, lahat ng nakikita mo, pag-aawayan mo yan. It becomes, ang kwento niyan is away talaga, conflict. Pero kung titignan mo sa indigenous ways of knowing reality, yung kanilang epistemology, yung kanilang pananaw tungkol sa realidad, is hindi ganun eh. Like for example, yung creation myth natin, ng malakas at maganda, di ba? Galing siya sa bamboo eh. Ang tao, galing sa puno, sa bamboo. Ano ibig sabihin nun? What does it symbolize? What does it represent? Diba? And hindi niya sinasabing babae at lalaki ito. Ang sinasabi niya, maganda at malakas ito. Wala siyang gender. Hindi niya naman sinabing lalaki at babae. Interpretasyon na lang natin yun. Pero sa akin, in the context of mythology, hindi niya sinasabing, wala nga siyang pangalan eh. Hindi siya Adam or Eva eh. Malakas at maganda. Diba? So, ibig sabihin, value-centric siya. Kung ano importante sa kanya, yun siya. And then of course bukod doon meron isang supernatural entity na isang bird sa mga indigenous community sa Mindanao, they call it Sarimanok. So that all-knowing, all-powerful entity which is a representation of the divine, suddenly like pecked on that bamboo, it opened up, you have the first the beautiful and the strong. So, yun yung creation myth. Imagine if that type of creation myth prospered. Ano ibig sabihin yan in terms of what we are as human beings, going beyond the idea of the Filipino, okay? Because the Filipino is a colonial concept, diba? It's not a race, it's a name of a king. It's not an ethnicity. Filipino is not an ethnicity, kaya siguro tayo nagkakaproblema. Bang identity natin? Filipino is a name of a king, that subjugated us. So, should we, like some sort of, extract our identity from that name? I'm not sure if you'll even find some identities there. Probably trauma, of course, diba? The story of genocide and so forth and so on, slavery, etc., etc. So, but then if you try to look into the pre-colonial perspective of strong and the beautiful, in fact, yung kwento ng malakas at maganda, ang dami palang kwento niyan. Yun lang yung popular sa atin. Depende kung anong tribo mo, may sarili kang version. Meron ako nakita sa loob ng tubig eh. So, imagine that, if those creation mythology inform the kind of science fiction that will be, writing in the process, right? Inspired and informed by our indigeneity, right? Kung ano tayo bilang isang tao sa parte ng mundong ito, no? So, anong klaseng science fiction meron ka?
Mm.
Diba? So, ibig sabihin nun, ano ba ang pre-colonial indigenous identity natin? Can that inform the future of Filipino science fiction? If you would like even to call that Filipino science fiction. Kasi otherwise lumalabas ka na dun eh. Di ba? This is a question, and this is a question, I'm not actually endorsing a particular identity here, but that is a question that I have in mind, the Filipino part of it, right? So, of course, to label the work, to label ourselves, of course. But then at the level of meaning making, at the level of identity, at the level of existentialism, at the level of existence, tawagin mong Filipino yan. Can that be a subject of science sci-fi writing? You challenge the perspective. If the sociologists wouldn't do it, or the political scientists wouldn't do it, can the sci-fi writer do
it? It's I guess it opens a can of worms, no? Like even just that idea, as you mentioned, the identity of Filipino. And I think the beautiful thing about science fiction is that it can get a lot from different social sciences. As you mentioned, meron po tayong Psikolohiyang Pilipino, which has identified as well various elements or characteristics, no, that I think sci-fi writers can learn from. And while you were talking, I was just thinking, oh nga, ang ganda, just the creation myths and nature. I remember Star Trek Discovery. I think sila yun may, their ship works on the mycelial, so how do you pronounce it? Mycelial network, which is very nature-based. It's something we've learned from the forests, from mushrooms. Ang ganda nun sa atin, no? How would we interpret something like that? I looked at the comments din po. But this is such a great discussion. I'm sorry we don't have more time, pero ang ganda ng mga inano niyo po questions that you've thrown to our writers and readers. But of course, in science fiction, syempre one of the major subgenres really is the dystopian science fiction, as a warning and as a,
Sorry, I would like to say something about that as well.
Yes,
I think that is a Western-centric perspective, yung dystopia. Alam naman natin, lahat pag galing mga sci-fi sa kanila, talagang dystopic. So, that is a colonial way of looking at science fiction, really. Right? And then, kung tignan mo yung mga kwento natin, mga creation myth, hindi siya dystopic. Hindi siya dystopian. I don't know, like, perhaps yung mundo na meron sila was totally quite different, really. Why? Because ang importante sa kanila is yung relationship mo sa kapwa mo, yung relationship mo sa tubig, relationship mo sa puno, relationship mo sa ibon, relationship mo sa buwan, relationship mo sa mga bagay-bagay na humuhubog sa'yo bilang isang tao is dapat maayos yun, maganda yun kasi yun yung realidad mo. So imagine mo kung gundong manggagaling yung science fiction natin. What does that mean, di ba? Diba? Right? Like it's a different way of looking at it. Yeah, I question a lot about the dystopian worldview. Yan na yan nangyayari sa atin. Yan na ang nangyayari sa atin ng ilang libong taon. Di ba? Like, damay-damay tayo sa ganyang mundo nila eh. Di ba? I don't know. Yung ganyang mundo, damay-damay tayo lahat eh. Like, di ba? Kaya nga daming na-colonize. After that, kasi tingin nila sa mundo nila is talagang delikado at masama, no? Pati space, abot-abot yan hanggang Mars, sigurado yan. So, hindi naman natin sila sinasabing mali or tama, pero the values that you carry with you, if you are too focused on the dystopian world, I don't know what kind of society or narrative would that be. Of course, there's hope May mga dystopian movies, sci-fis naman na may pag-asa dun sa mga kwentong yun. Like for example, dun sa Foundation movie. Diba? Sabi niya, yung isang character doon, sinabi niya, I think I can feel the future. I think I can feel the future. So you have think and feel and I connected and linked to the future, whatever that time horizon might that be. I think that encapsulates that, means, probably hope as well. Pero sinasabi niya rin yung multiple crisis, no? So, this is our worldviews. Anong klaseng science fiction ang gusto nating buuin? Yung mga science fiction ba nagbibigay ng pag-asa at tayo eventually naniniwala sa mga imposible? Or ma-stuck na lang tayo sa mga kwentong, talagang tinataga ka, sa mga bagay-bagay na masasamang pangitain. So, anong klaseng sci-fi tayo, di ba?
Wow. Yeah. Something to think about, definitely.
Yeah. Well, it brings to
Using
mind
brain.
like an article that was posted in the group it's about the decline of the readership of science fiction, and if there should be like, the question was like if there should be like a shift in the perspective. So natandaan ko lang po yung sa dystopian, because yun nga, a lot of the material coming from the West especially is dystopian, but then it seems like that's not really hitting a note with most sci-fi readers anymore. So, yun nga, maganda siyang magandang idala sa discussion ngayon yung indigenous science fiction, and like how, yun nga, parang alternative history then, like how would our society look like now if we were never colonized in the first place? How would our society have progressed organically, naturally from the pre-colonial society? So, yeah, there's so many
tama ka,
things.
Rain, Kaya pala siguro hindi na rin ako nanonood ng Netflix. Kasi,
We're dystopian.
because of that. Oo, grabe. Lahat ng mga material doon, dystopian.
But Sir Sherman,
Pinanood
isn't
ko
that
lang yung Avatar.
also Avatar, yung The Last Airbender? Ayun.
Element.
But Sir Sherman, isn't that also like the dystopian side of sci-fi? It's like a warning of what the future might be if we go down this particular path. So it's like, yeah.
That has always been the case. Even in future studies, from the time of the oracles, it's always been a narrative of early warning signs. It's always about warning. But then eventually at some point in time that would change, because you would have prophets in the process. And the purpose of these prophets were to create a new message of the future. Right? They were more hopeful if you try to compare that with the oracles. Yung mga oracles, ang ginawa nila, dun sa mga kwento nila, masasamang pangitain. Pag kinausap niya, masama palagi yan. Pero yung mga propeta, nung dumating sila, nagkaroon tayo ng ganung klaseng pag-iisip, is hindi na doon eh. Pinapatawad ka na eh. Di ba? Sinasabi na nila na pwede, pwede tayong makabuo ng ibang mundo eh. So, which is eventually itong mga to, naging religion tong mga to eh. At some point, naging very, very important yun, in terms of human civilization's evolution. So, nagkakaroon ng iba't ibang mensahe yung mga panahon na yun eh. Yeah. And then eventually, 50 years ago, meron kang mga sci-fi writers. Di ba? So, yun na yung mga oracle mo. Di ba? Pero kung babasahin mo naman yung mga work nila Arthur Clarke, Asimov, I think these are pretty quite much hopeful types of futures. I don't know. That's how I look at them. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yun. And since we're running out of time, may nakita lang po ako dito na comment, or it's a question na rin from Paulo Cruz. I don't know if you're related. uh, so he says, post scarcity is one of my favorite sci fi themes because it's so far beyond the Philippines' current material reality. But it leads to thought provoking tangents. Under what specific conditions can we imagine a post scarcity Philippines? How would that relate to food, housing, ecology, transport, and social dynamics?
Mhm. Yeah, in foresight, in future studies, gumagamit kami ng tinatawag naming scenario archetypes. Ibig sabihin, yung archetype, ito yung mga frame and lenses by which you can actually use to imagine what the future could look like. For example, you have alternative future worlds. In one of the alternative future archetypes, let's just say, is collapse. Diba? In a collapse world, definitely merong ang post-scarcity scenario dyan. Diba? So, ngayon, in that context, like, imagine mo pag ganun, biglang tumaas ang poverty sa Pilipinas. Diba? From ilan tayo ngayon? 19-20%. Nagkaroon ng war. In the event of a war, for example. Diba? So, leapfrog ka sa post-scarcity scenario mo because the economic growth has been disrupted. Yung Ambition 2040 mo, na sinasabi ni Secretary Balisacan, was disrupted by some external forces of change that is beyond our control, like, for example, war, or let's just say extraterrestrial invasion or intelligence. Suddenly, would your idea of post-scarcity change if suddenly we discover extraterrestrial intelligence do exist, in the universe? Like, would your idea of scarcity change now? So, and then it's the way of framing it. Some would see the future as abundant. Because, like, for example, from indigenous perspective, the idea of Hiraya Manowari, the future is a blessing, tells us that the future is abundant. Blessing is abundance and prosperity, from the Chinese view, which is a wealth-generating oriented type of society. They don't see things as scarce, but they see that they have the agency to make things abundant. So imagine that, right? It's really about framing things.
Ayun. So thank you. And maybe we'll just have one last. So this was a comment I saw, and then dadagdagan ko na din lang siya ng question because I'm also very interested in this. So it says from Sir Freddy Hulkanain. He says design thinking could be part of the curriculum in the basic and higher education system to prepare students to be innovators and problem solvers. So I was wondering, to your knowledge, is futures thinking taught in any school in the world right now?
Oh, yes. In the Philippines, it's a, I'm also currently, one of the hats that I do is that I'm currently the UNESCO chair on anticipatory governance and regenerative cities at Northwestern University in the Philippines. That's a private university in the north. So, futures thinking is a part of their general education offering, right? Like 6 units. So, kung nagka-college ka, option mo, for some courses, it's a part of, it's di siya elective, for some elective, for some, it's a part of the regular offering. Like 6 units of futures thinking course. Yung una is futures thinking 101. Yung pangalawa is depende kung saan mo gustong mag-focus. Diba? So, kung sa engineering ba, architecture, tourism, literature, whatever that might be that you're into, pwede mong i-curate yung program para sa kanila. I-customize mo. May mga certificate courses, definitely, but mostly these are governmental things. I also provide courses as well from time to time. But then, as a degree, you have in Taiwan, it's a, I'm not sure if it's a science or an art, but they have a bachelor's program on future studies. They also have a master's program. They also have a PhD program on future studies. That's, if you're interested, you can check it out. The Graduate Institute of Future Studies at Tamkang University, Taiwan. Courses in Singapore, but they don't have a bachelor's, master's, or doctoral program. In the Philippines, we don't have that yet. We don't have a bachelor's or master's or PhD program. In the U.S., several programs. The University of Houston, the University of Hawaii. I'm not sure if they have something like this at Harvard, Stanford, but I think there are courses. They are not degrees. In Europe, they do. As far as I'm concerned, I think yun yung one. Australia, I'm currently a student, a PhD student in future studies at the University of Sunshine Coast in Australia as a research scholar. So, hindi ako nag-attend ng klase. Kung yung program nila doon, walang academic units yung program nila, mag-research ka. So, para makuha mo yung program mo, yung degree mo. So, meron silang ganun. Depende na lang kung saan mo gustong mag-focus. Doon ka mag-focus. Kung saan ka magaling, doon ka mag-focus.
Okay. Thanks. And Sir Sherman, are those like degrees prerequisites to becoming a professional futurist? Do you need to have some sort of higher education to become one? For those of our viewers interested.
Yeah, not necessarily. You don't need a degree to become a futurist, but given that the industry, at least in the context of the industry, is pretty quite growing and the demand is increasing. Many companies now are, yung preferabilities nila pumupunta na dun sa mga may degree programs. Kung nag-aral ka ng future studies, yun yung iyong expertise at pinag-aralan, mas malaki yung employability mo. It becomes an advantage. Other than that, of course, experience. Right? Kung wala kang degree, pero matagal ka na, may experience ka, depende dun sa portfolio na meron ka, pwede kang i-hire, bayaran sa iyong ginagawa. Pero meron din namang not for client work or not industry-based, they are writers, book writers, right? So, like for example, Alvin Toffler, Margaret Atwood, yung mga American futurists, they write books. And through their ideas, like for example, si Amy Webb, she is a quantitative futurist. She considers herself as a quantitative futurist. One of the key futurists when it comes to artificial intelligence in the U.S. is by profession, I see her as a book writer. Dami niyang magagandang libro. One that I've read recently, or perhaps 6 months ago, is what she called, the Genesis Machine, the future of synthetic biology. So that's beyond artificial intelligence. Kasi the next big thing is to artificial intelligence is synthetic biology. So, nag-aaral na ba sa atin ng ganyan? Di ba? Pag-aaralan mo na. Yep. Advanced na ang China sa synthetic biology. Advanced na sila. Pati sa AI, yung application ng mga iniisip pa lang natin, yan, ginagawa na nila.
Okay. So I think that's all the time we have, but sobrang dami pa po nating comments and questions sa ating chat, sa ating comment section ng ating live. So what I think we could do, we could just continue the conversation there. Maybe we'll invite Prof. Sherman to the group also and could respond if he has the time to the other comments and questions there. So ayun po, and thank you so much, Sir Sherman. You are so busy, but thank you so much for squeezing us into your tight schedule.
The pleasure is mine.
You're very in demand. Yeah. Ayun, so thank you po, Sir Sherman, and we'll talk more in the future with our group and yung office niya. So thanks. And that's it. As we come to the end of our webinars, I want to extend my heartfelt thanks, of course, to Professor Sherman Cruz for sharing his expertise and invaluable insights with us. Ako personally, ang dami kong natutunan, and I was taking notes earlier and writing my comments as well. So thank you so much for sharing with us this afternoon, Prof. Sherman, and also thank you to the Pinoy Spec Fic Steering Committee, Cady Serafica, Micheline Alagao, and Timothy James Dimacali, who are the brains and brawn behind this webinar and more webinars to come. And also, of course, to the attendees, the members of the Pinoy SpecFic group for your active participation. Ayan, madami pa tayong pag-uusapan sa comment section. We'll be having more talks like this and other kinds of projects as well. So make sure you check the Pinoy SpecFic group every now and then for updates. And ayun, so I know this sounds cliche, but uh, the future is what we make it. uh, but it really is. And as specfic and sci-fi writers, we are at the forefront of tomorrow, kumbaga, and our craft allows us to imagine the different futures, um, the future we want and the future we would like to avoid. So yun, so keep writing, keep foresighting sa aking mga fellow specfic fans and writers. And once again, thank you for joining us this afternoon, evening na pala. This has been Rain, and I'll see you again in the near future. So good night. Bye bye. See you again.